What's up, YouTube? Today I wanted to talk about a guy who has made a little bit of a buzz in the AP community. Not so much on some of the more legitimate blackjack websites such as Blackjack Info, BJ21, Blackjack the Forum, Blackjack Apprenticeship. I know he has actually made an appearance on one or two of these sites, but he, was pretty much immediately dismissed. Nobody seemed to take him seriously, but he has been gaining quite a bit of attention and traction on YouTube, though. And so this guy, he is a self-proclaimed blackjack professional. If you just go on YouTube and just type in blackjack, you'll find this guy right here. His name is Michael Morgenstern. And so we're going to dig a little bit deeper to learn a little bit more about Mike.
What's up, guys? Michael Morgenstern here, blackjack professional.
He claims to be a professional. I think otherwise. But what are some of the things that have led to his credibility?
Them are stacks. So we got kicked out of 6 casinos tonight. January 27th. My spy glasses, I have no fucking idea how to do the time, set for it, but you can see what I got here. Stacks. $10,000 stacks. So you got 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000 there. That's $180,000 right there. And then the other 20. So that's $200,000 in one fucking night. Started with 35,000. So not really up 200,000. You minus, but started with 35 grand, went really hard.
Yep, those are stacks of fake money. Prop money can be purchased anywhere online, from Amazon, eBay, whatever. It's all pretty cheap. And, it looks very similar to what Mike displays in his video. It would also explain, why Mike was so willing to burn $10,000.
Boom. Matter of fact, we're just going to throw the whole fucking stack in. It's too fucking hot. But there you go. That's $10,000 burned up. For the bitch-ass motherfucker, they said there's only hundreds on top. I don't like to fucking lose anything. $5 can give me, you know what I mean? A meal at McDonald's or some shit, you understand? $5 means a lot to me. 2. I think I lost track. 3. 4. 5. And these are all hundreds. 6. 9. 10. There's $2,000. 1. 2. 3. And just so you motherfucking haters know, those are fucking hundreds. 4. 5. You understand? $5 means a lot to me. That's money. Those are fucking $100 bills.
So is he real or not? Well, let's find out what he knows. Or what he doesn't.
This is basic strategy. In the 70s when they developed this, it never said to deviate.
Absolutely wrong. Not even close. Basic strategy was created in 1956 by 4 mathematicians, as Thorpe illustrates here.
I first got interested in blackjack and card counting, wholly by chance, you might say. I was teaching at UCLA in the 58-59 academic year. One of the professors in the math department, Robert Sorgenfrey, a topologist, told me about a very interesting paper in the Journal of the American Statistical Association by Baldwin, Canty, Maisel, and McDermott. There they presented a strategy for playing blackjack that would give the casino only about a 0.6% edge.
Every reputable blackjack author agrees that deviations from basic strategy is absolutely important to beating the game. You can learn about it in any of these books that I just listed right here. And the one thing that all of these authors right here have in common is that they are all in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. A lot of them have made great contributions to the AP community, whereas Michael Morgenstern only belongs in one place, which is the Blackjack Hall of Shame, because he has not made any contributions that are of value.
More gangsters in the house. And he's getting a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls asking, should I play a single deck, double deck, 6 deck, 8 deck, and what's the difference in those? They're completely different fucking monsters. If you don't know what you're doing, let me light a cigarette for this one. This is gonna get deep. Single deck, personally, I don't like. The count's never gonna get astronomically high.
There are no games that really are comparable to single deck game for the amount of the advantage that a card counter can theoretically get. But then we hit the other problem. It's much easier for the casinos to identify a card counter in a single deck game. The reason for this is that the advantage goes up and down very quickly. And if you have your bets going up and down just as quickly as the advantage is going up and down, you are going to stick out. You are really going to stick out like a card counter.
And you wouldn't want to advertise the fact that you're counting, right? I mean, really, what idiot would walk into a casino trying to advertise the fact that he's counting cards, much less that he's part of some sort of blackjack army, right?
You always want to start from the beginning of the shoe. Me personally, as soon as they burn that card, what I can't see is negative. You understand? This is negative to me. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter. It does to me. There's a fucking card out of there. How does it not fucking matter? This that I can't see is negative.
Don't count the burn card as -1. It's an unseen card, so its assigned value should be nothing. Just like how you would not assign any kind of value to the cards that are behind the cut card. This should also just be treated the same. It's part of the penetration. If you do count the burn card as -1, just probably refrain from telling any of your AP, just to avoid making yourself look like an idiot. Now in reality, the burn card's not going to make much of a difference. I used CV data to run 400 million rounds of blackjack, and the difference between knowing the burn card and not knowing the burn card only made a difference about 34 cents in this particular situation. We got a guy who was able to run a simulation using his software, and he ran 1 million shoes per situation, and it come to find out that counting the burn card as -1 actually ever so slightly hurts you a little bit more than it helps you. So there's that.
Hey guys, what's going on? Michael Morgenstern here with Blackjack Professional. Got a challenge for everybody, and I'm going to do it. You always see or read about if you're going to be a card counter, you need a bankroll of $50,000 to $100,000. That's just not the case. This is called the Change Jar Challenge.
Everyone has to have their own limits and tolerance as to what risk they're willing to accept when they play blackjack. In your situation, you've gone off with $5,000 and selected a betting limit of 25 to 200, a 1 to 8 betting range using green chips. The way you did it, you had a risk of probably something like 25% chance of losing the whole $5,000. The bankroll that I would require to feel comfortable with that particular game would provide me with the risk of ruin, in other words, losing all my money, of 5% or less. That's what I would require. And that would work out to be somewhere around $37,000.
So here we are, we're at Walmart, change jar challenge. Let's see how much change we have. If you get an 8-3, unless it's against an ace card, you want to double down. A lot of people say don't do it against tens. I say go fuck yourself. Double that shit down, right? You know, whether they have an ace or ace you don't, 10 you do.
Absolutely wrong. Most of the games you'll find today, the dealer has to hit on soft 17. So in that situation, doubling down 11 versus ace is the correct play, as you can see right here in the basic strategy chart. So doubling down 11 versus an ace is the correct move.
These other people are saying, you know, when the count's high, you should deviate. There is no deviation from basic strategy. Point blank, there is none. You see this motherfucking card designed way back when, okay, by computers. There's no deviation from this. I'm sorry.
There are two kinds of deviations card counters use to beat blackjack. There are betting deviations, where we change our bet, and then there are playing deviations. But do you really need to learn the playing deviation charts to beat the game of blackjack, or can you simply use card counting and basic strategy? I get asked a lot whether you really need to learn the roughly 20 playing deviations to beat the game of blackjack, or if you can just use basic strategy. Well, there's a lot of opinions out there, but I wanted to give you guys a math-based answer. Well, there's a lot of opinions out there, but I wanted to give you guys a math-based answer. So I ran some simulations using a software called CVCX by a company called QFit. I ran simulations of perfect card counters using just basic strategy and then also using the playing deviations. I wanted to share with you the results. In the first simulation, the player is playing perfect basic strategy and perfect card counting with high-low, the card counting system that we teach, and they're betting a 1 to 12 bet spread using a $25 betting unit on a $25,000 bankroll. So with just basic strategy and card counting, the player is generating just over $38 an hour of EV, and this bet spread gives him a 5.5% risk of ruin. So that's cool. $38 an hour to count and just use basic strategy is not too shabby. So let's compare that with a player that plays perfect basic strategy and counts exactly the same, but also uses the top 20-ish deviations. I'm using the ones that we teach on our site, but they're not that different from the illustrious 18. With the 20 playing deviations, the player's EV is $46.50 an hour. So that's a 21.5% boost in EV. Basically, this player gave himself a 22% raise by learning these 20-ish deviations. So I want to put that in perspective for you guys. That 22% raise for my career as a blackjack player, that accounts for over $100,000 of profits. Or for the teams that I've run, deviations by themselves generated almost $1 million of our profits. We won close to $4 million. So nearly $1 million of those profits are from the deviations.
What?
Deviations by themselves generated almost $1 million of our profits.
What?
More than that, the player using deviations will nearly cut their risk of ruin in half.
What?
And will overcome one standard deviation 125 hours sooner.
What?
To a professional card counter, that's a really big deal to get to the long run sooner and to keep your risk low. So not only do the deviations give a pretty sizable jump in EV, who would not want a 21.5% raise, but it also does a lot to keep your risk low and to get to the long run a lot faster, which to any professional is a really big deal. Okay.
What? We'll get to the haters later. Today we're going to talk about dealers. How do you tip a dealer and how much should you tip them? If you win $1,000, throw them a $25 bone, $50 bone, depending on how good you are and how much money you plan on making.
This is just bad advice, because what Mike suggests here is that the amount you should tip should be based on your AV, your actual value, as opposed to being in line with your EV, which is your expected value. I believe tipping is kind of an unnecessary business expense. It hasn't really bought me much in the past. I do know people who do incorporate it into their act, and so it does kind of help them along. But most importantly, just make sure your tipping aligns with your EV and make sure it makes sense.
Take care of your fucking dealers, and they'll take care of you. Deeper penetration, they might even pay you off. Sometimes, you know, if the pit boss is not around and it looks confusing, say you hit, you know, the dealer's got a 10 showing, you've got a soft 18, naturally you're supposed to hit that. Say you catch a 10. Dealer flips it over, dealer's got a 19. Sometimes they'll pay you on accident. We call it an accident. If you're looking out for them, they're going to make mistakes that will only help you in the long run.
This is even worse advice, because what Mike is suggesting that you do is collude with the dealer. Collusion between you and the dealer in order to cheat the casino out of money is absolutely an illegal activity, which could very well potentially lead to you getting arrested. So not only, you know, could you get barred from the casino, but you could also potentially get arrested. If you have a dealer who is trying to collude with you, I would highly suggest getting up from your table and walking away.
A lot of times people will say, when it's +2, anytime it's plus, go a little bit bigger. My thing is, I come from nothing, so I'm going to wait until I'm pretty much guaranteed to win.
But thanks to expected mathematical variance, the team's good fortune is sometimes balanced by the unfortunate.
Maybe in 10 minutes, during half a shoot, the count went up very high, unusually high, so I was betting 2 hands of 10,000, and I managed to lose a bunch of hands in a row.
Semyon loses $150,000 in a few short minutes. Worst of all, he runs out of chips. Although he has more cash in his pockets, he can't buy more than $30,000 in chips without showing ID. That's a problem since he's playing under an alias. He realizes he has no choice. He has to leave the table and the casino.
The really frustrating thing was running out in the middle of the shoe, because when you bet a lot, it means that the shoe is particularly good. And by leaving in the middle, you're actually walking away from a big advantage, an unusually big advantage. And that's frustrating.
Here's one that you'll really love. We took the part in Mike's book where he says that you should go from table minimum to 4 times table minimum for his bet deviations. Well, we ran some simulations. I think you'll like it. Now, in the first simulation, if you notice where we circled, it came out to that you'd be winning $2.89. Now, you got to pay attention to the blue part, because this is the custom betting. We're using Mike's betting deviations, not the optimal betting deviations set by the software. So $2.89 is what his deviation would get you, like on a $5 table, 6-deck game. Now take a look at the simulation that we ran if, assuming that you were just not wonging in at true count 0 or higher, and you were just using a play-all situation, this would actually have you lose money, negative 38 cents per hour on a $5 table. So what Mike was displaying in his book was literally a losing spread, assuming that you're playing a 6-deck game and whatnot, and no wonging whatsoever. So there you go. Let's get rich, everyone. So you might be wondering, if Mike isn't who he says he is, then how come he gets backed off from casinos sometimes?
100 red screen, please. Sorry, sir. No action. No action? No action. Can't let you play. Why? That's what I've been told. I can't play in your casino? No, sir.
Well, the truth of the matter is, it's not hard to get backed off from the blackjack table, even as a square, especially if the casino that you're playing at is a super sweaty, dumpy casino, similar to the ones that you'll find in Mike's videos. A lot of them are in the South. You know, you go to resorts, that place will back you off pretty quickly, especially if you're moving your money around with a double-deck game, even if you're not actually counting. And then, if you actually walk in there with a Blackjack Army hoodie, that's just going to bring more attention on you. Next thing you know, they're going to flyer you everywhere, and then every casino you go to from that point on, and you know, within Tunica, will back you off. I've been through this many times before. I've been backed off from well over 50 casinos myself. It's not hard to get backed off from some of these places, so that's just something to keep in mind. But that's pretty much, you know, what you end up seeing in a lot of Mike's videos. So what does Mike know? I mean, after going through all of his videos, you'd think that he'd probably never even read a blackjack book ever.
I've read a book once, and it...
Alright guys, well in all seriousness, for those of you who've done a little bit of research into the game of blackjack, maybe read a book or two, and you've watched some of Mike's videos, it should be pretty apparent at this point that he is absolutely not a professional. I'm not even really convinced that he's even a winning or even a break-even player at this point, based off of what I've seen. But you know, you can make that decision. The evidence is overwhelming. So I haven't even touched on any of the scams that Mike is running. I've only just scratched the surface here a little bit. I could probably make 2 hours more worth of video, but I kind of went over my 16 minute mark that I wanted to, so I'm going to end this here. If you want good information, there's a lot of resources online. Blackjack the forum, BJ21, all that stuff. Go just check it out and just do your homework, and it'll all be clear by then. Have a good day.